In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use Meteor Robot Framework to test your next awesome Meteor application. Okay, we're going to go through some installation instructions to get going on Robot Framework. First, you need Meteor itself, and you need Python. Robot Framework officially supports versions 2.5, 2.6 and 2.7. Next, we need to install Robot Framework itself, and we're going to also install the Selenium 2 library, which you can use to drive the web application interface. You can do all of that with one command. Here I'm going to do an upgrade option because I already have it on the machine I'm using, but if you're doing a new install, just omit the upgrade option. I can check if the install has worked correctly by starting Python and trying to import the Selenium module. If I don't get any errors, we're good. I'm also going to install a Phantom.js node module for browser automation. Okay, let's create an empty Meteor application. And start it up by typing in Meteor. Let's open a new browser session to have a look at our application. Okay, it's time to add Meteor Robot Framework to our application. You can see Velocity itself is also added to our project, and the Velocity button appears in our browser session. Clicking on the button will show the Velocity menu, and we've now got a section related to Robot Framework. Let's click this button to add some sample tests to our project. You can see on the left on the console that Meteor has immediately started rebuilding the application, and it will actually then run our first set of sample tests. You can see the console shows us we have 3 failed tests, and the Velocity window shows us a summary of the detail of each of those failed tests. Looks like there might be a problem with the title of our web application or a problem with our tests. Let's have a look at the files that Robot Framework created. I've opened up one of the test files and a resource file. Let's take a quick look. You can see the Robot Framework settings section gives us some documentation and references the resource file we'll look at in a minute. Then there's a variable section which is setting a variable called title, and our test cases section showing a test that opens a browser and checks the title of the page. Here's a resources file that provides keywords for our tests. You can see it imports the Selenium 2 library, sets the Phantom.js Selenium WebDriver, and assigns the URL to a variable called mirror-URL, which is provided by Meteor Robot Framework to make sure you point to the right test version of your application running in Velocity. The title on the application that Meteor generated for us is actually rftest, the same name as the application folder. So we need to change our test to reflect that. I'm just going to change our variable here, and then I'm going to save the test and see what happens. Velocity has picked up that the test has changed, rebuilt the project, rerun the tests, and now we can see that we have 2 tests failing. Let me show you 2 other ways of seeing the status of your test reports apart from the Velocity page itself. I'm just going to switch to the console, stop the application, and this time restart it, but turn on a debug flag which is used by the Meteor Robot Framework code. Just start the application again. Okay, Velocity will run the tests again, but this time in the console we can see Robot Framework's own console output, which gives us a nice view on the individual tests' status as they run. We can also view the HTML output files that Robot Framework creates itself just by pasting the file path from the console into my browser. Now we can see the suite's test report that Robot Framework has generated. You can drill down into any of the links to see the details of each test, all of the keywords that have run, and for any test cases that have failed, Selenium 2 library automatically captures a screenshot, so you can see after the test is completed the exact visual representation of the application at the time. Well, that's it for this short introduction to Meteor Robot Framework. I suggest if you want to find out anything more about Robot Framework, go on to robotframework.org. There's loads of information on there. Also, take a look at the GitHub page of Meteor Framework. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you find this project useful. Contact me on my email address or RSBA Tech on Twitter. Thanks.